Nowadays, people live to be 100 years old. From now on, I'm going to enjoy my second life.
Come on. Maid, you said you would wash and iron this. My wife said this, laughing, as she took off her shirt and threw it at me.
It was rare of Haley to come back home for dinner, but I wish she wouldn't act like this. What could I even say? I sighed. I picked up her shirt in silence. My wife considers me to be her servant. She says it's because she's busy with work and is often stuck working overtime. Still, the way she acts isn't nice. But even if I say something to her now, she won't change. I always end up holding in my feelings. Smelling like alcohol, my wife sat down at the dining table.
Ugh, my boss. At our work drinks today, my boss said that since we're all going to live to 100 now, at 50 years old you can turn your life around completely.
Speaking about what her boss had said, she began eating my dinner without my permission.
Hey, maid! I haven't had enough to drink tonight, so bring me alcohol, and snacks too!
Today my wife didn't have to work overtime. I made something simple and quick for her to eat, and the food seemed to disappear as soon as I sat on the table. Hey, don't eat so much! I'd felt flustered as I watched her act so drunk. I didn't know what else to do, so I began preparing more food. My name is James. I'm a 42-year-old businessman. I married my wife Haley 15 years ago. Haley never calls me by my own name. She only refers to me as her maid. It seems that my busy wife never wanted a loving husband. She just wanted someone who would follow her commands. I met my wife at a bar. At the time I had just divorced and I knew I was infertile, so I had planned to spend the rest of my life alone, focusing on work. But I happened to go to a bar with a friend one night, and my wife approached me. She had an incredibly bright personality. She even told me it's fine, we can't have kids. I thought she loved me. To think that she just saw me as a potential servant. There was another reason why she said that it's fine if we can't have kids. My wife loves drinking, so she would go out drinking with colleagues almost every night. Because of this, when we first met, I had no idea she already had a child. At the time, her daughter Nora was 9 years old. It seems my wife was rebellious when she was young. At 18 years old, she got pregnant and married and ended up divorcing that man a year later. She got custody of their daughter. Nora was being raised by her grandparents, and she was a very honest and good girl. When I first met her, she seemed very excited.
You'll be my dad? Will you stay with us forever? Can I have a brother and sister?
She asked me all these questions happily. I'll never forget how genuine her eyes looked that day. When she entered 4th grade, she began to realize that her family wasn't all that normal. That seemed to make her feel sad and lonely, so she was very happy when her mom and I got married. I wanted to make her happy like she was my own daughter. I'm sorry, I love kids, but I have a sickness that stops me from being able to have babies. But instead of that, I promise I will always care for you, Nora.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'll have you all to myself.
Her relieved smile as she said that was super cute. Of course, my in-laws loved their daughter, even if she was distant. But the person they really adored was Nora. Nora never caused any trouble, and yet Haley treated her with disdain. So my in-laws tried to ignore Haley. Initially, my in-laws seemed worried that I'd be like Haley's previous husband. They were worried I'd hurt Nora. But since they were getting older, they themselves knew they'd need someone to help them care for Nora eventually. In a way, our interests aligned. Since I was infertile, I had given up on my dream of having kids, but Nora would help that dream come true. Nora was hungry for love and I wanted children. We became like a real father and daughter. It didn't take us much time to become close. Though my in-laws were worried at first, they understood how much I cared for Nora, so I gradually earned their trust. Around that time, I married Haley. Haley quickly began neglecting our little family. She began staying out late and drinking with friends every night. Then she got into male escorts.
I've become obsessed with hot male escorts.
She would go to meet escorts every evening after work and would come home super late. She was really into younger men. I was disgusted with her and felt my love for her slowly fading away. The reason I didn't get a divorce was Nora. I was happy living together with her. Because of Nora, I could always put up with Haley, who always smelled of alcohol and yelled at me. My wife never was involved with her daughter. Everyone around us assumed I was a single father. As I enjoyed watching my daughter grow, months and even years passed without me realizing. One day my daughter told me she had someone she wanted me to meet. She was already 26 years old. I knew she had a boyfriend and I heard things about him here and there, but she wanted to officially introduce me to him. Thinking that day has already come, it hit me deeply. I'm happy for you. You've grown so much. Nora seemed nervous about me meeting her boyfriend for the first time, but her smile showed that she was happy from the bottom of her heart. We were really like a real father and daughter. Those were fun days. I was happy. Her boyfriend Ken was an exceptional young man. Ken really is a great person. I'm so happy for you. When I gave that compliment, my daughter's face showed she had mixed emotions.
Hey, Dad, you don't have to hold on for my sake anymore. Please divorce Mom. I want you to be happy.
Honestly, Nora had given up on her mother a long time ago and has been recommending me to divorce her for some time now. When Nora got married, I was still working at my same company as a full-time employee. I even had a solid savings. I was ready to get a divorce. Though I was prepared, for some reason I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Haley was munching on snacks I made her while drinking whiskey.
Now that Nora's wedding is scheduled, isn't it about time for us to...
My wife began saying suddenly. Huh? For us to what?
Isn't it all right if we break up now?
I was surprised that Haley would bring this up right before our daughter's wedding. But at Nora's wedding, wouldn't it be better for the two of us to attend together?
Are you an idiot? You aren't even Nora's biological father. Why would you need to go to the wedding?
I don't get what you mean. Do you plan on going with her real dad? You're saying it's better for that man who abandoned Nora to go instead of me? I knew Haley had a new boyfriend, but I didn't understand what she was saying.
I'm going to the wedding with my boyfriend. He's an attractive young escort named Hamilton.
Huh? You can't be serious about this guy, right? He's just charming you because that's his job.
With other clients, sure, but with me, he's different. I know he loves me. Every time I go, he tells me he wishes I wasn't married. I plan on proposing to him next month on his birthday. We'll all be living until 100 years old, right? So I have more than half a lifetime left. I want to have as much fun as possible. I'm sure Nora will be happier with him there. A handsome man like Hamilton should come as her father at the wedding.
I couldn't take this anymore.
You served your purpose, so let's divorce. You've worked hard, my maid.
Rather than being shocked, I was just sick of Haley. To think she would take the flirtatiousness of a male escort seriously. A wedding isn't a place for you to show off how young or handsome your boyfriend is. You're saying that the man who raised Nora shouldn't go? So anyone can go since I'm not related to Nora by blood?
Well, you've just been a maid for us from the beginning. So to make things clear, there's no way you'll receive any money or compensation from me for this divorce.
I know very well that you just view me as your servant. I don't care about you at all anymore. Let's get divorced. I wanted to cut off all ties with this horrible woman. That way I can start the second half of my life without any worries. The ridiculous look in Haley's eyes woke me up to the reality that I can't keep going on like this. Then it's decided. I'll be nice, so as long as you don't bring that Hamilton guy into this house, I'll keep doing the housework. Understood? Just like that, our divorce was decided. We proceeded with everything quickly. The next day we went to City Hall and picked up divorce forms. That same night we both signed them. When Nora returned from work that night, we told her about the divorce. She looked conflicted. She wasn't sure if it was better to show that she's happy for me or to pretend to be sad.
What will we do at my wedding? The two of you don't get along anymore, right? So Dad, it's fine if only you come.
Though she knew it could be considered mean, she said that without hesitating. But Haley thought it was only natural that she would attend, so she didn't notice what Nora had said.
Nora, don't worry, I'll come with a handsome dad for you,
my wife said, though it was absurd. My daughter frowned.
Mom, you were having an affair? I never realized you were that disgusting. That must have been tough for Haley to hear. It's not an affair. I'm serious about Hamilton. I didn't marry this man because I liked him. I just wanted him to be my maid. Even if you say that, isn't it a bit embarrassing to call your husband your maid? Shut up! How long do you plan on being like this? How long are you going to keep calling him Dad? He and I are divorced. You and him are strangers now.
In that instant, all emotion left my daughter's face. Her face went red and she began to scream.
Do you really not know? Do you not remember? What? What don't I know? Dad adopted me. I remember how happy I was that day. Dad and I aren't strangers at all.
Haley didn't seem to understand what Nora was saying. I explained to her. You've completely forgotten. When we got married, I went through the legal procedures and officially adopt Nora. Even if we aren't related by blood, by law, I am her father. I tried my best to keep my tone polite. Haley still didn't understand.
But once we divorce, that's over, right?
No, divorce doesn't influence the adoption status. As long as Nora doesn't legally cut off ties with me, she'll always be my daughter. I will never let go of my daughter.
And I'm never letting go of my dad. Shut up! What does that have to do with anything? No matter what you say, it's pointless.
That's the law. When you started treating me badly, I thought I would take Nora and raise her by myself. Even if you and I divorce, Nora and I will still be a family. Since her and I know that very well, Nora has been telling me to divorce you for some time now. The next day, I officially submitted our divorce papers, but there was a lot to still sort out since we had been married for over 15 years. I called both my parents and my in-laws. Everyone was happy we got divorced. My in-laws said they will make sure that I receive alimony and my fair share of our properties. They even gave me advice on how to sell the house Haley and I were currently living in. They were very upset about what Haley had done to Nora and I. The day after,
I guess I'll remarry you after all, my ex-wife said to me at dinner.
Nora and I made eye contact.
What happened to your handsome boyfriend Hamilton? I went to meet him, but he didn't show up.
She replied so quickly that we couldn't understand her. We waited for her to explain.
He stopped working as an escort. I don't know where he is.
Haley repeated more or less the same thing as before, but we understood this time. Hamilton didn't love her at all. My daughter spoke first.
How lame.
Nora began laughing so much that tears rolled down her cheeks. I also couldn't hold back my cheeky grin. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what kind of guy Hamilton was, but it was refreshing seeing how dejected Haley looked.
Of course he wasn't serious about a middle-aged woman like you. He was never interested in dating you.
Seeing how much Nora laughed, Haley got angry.
Nora, how could you say that to your own mother? Hamilton is the man who will become your father.
I only have one father. I don't need any others. Hearing Nora say that, my heart filled with joy.
You're so terrible to your own parents. James raised you wrong.
It's not Dad's fault. Of course, Haley would try to attack me, but Nora protected me. Easy for you to say, when you did nothing to help raise Nora. As soon as things got bad for you, it's my fault. You just consider me your slave. There's no way I'd ever marry you again. I said it clearly so Haley would understand. She finally seemed to get it.
But until I brought up the divorce, you didn't say anything. That means you weren't unsatisfied, right?
Of course I was unsatisfied with you. The reason I didn't divorce you was for Nora's sake. We just wanted to have a happy family. Your own actions made Nora give up on you. Somehow I got used to the way you treated me. Luckily, I finally woke up.
Then why don't we get remarried for Nora's sake? Who will take care of me when you're gone?
I can't believe you. Who do you think would want to remarry you after you say that? Haley ignored Nora and continued to try to convince me, but I wouldn't fall for it. Nora is going to start her own family now. Since she won't be with us, there's no reason for us to remarry.
When I get old, I'll be nervous on my own, and you'll take from my property now.
I laughed hearing what she'd said. Property? You don't even have a savings. Haley never contributed money for our family. I knew she spent her whole salary on drinking and that she had no savings.
Even if I don't, my parents do. They're rich.
As expected, she was after her parents' money, but she's too simple-minded. Actually, about that, they're not leaving anything to you. They're leaving everything to Nora to inherit. They've already spoken to a tax accountant about it. So you won't receive anything. Actually, I was the one who introduced them to the tax accountant. I understood my in-laws' feelings very well.
I don't have any savings.
Haley's voice suddenly sounded weak.
You love me, right, Nora? You won't abandon me, right?
Haley said this, but all confidence in her voice was gone. She's a complete idiot. Even though she wanted to throw me away after using me, she suddenly feels bad now that she's realized she's the one actually being thrown away. I don't love you. Ah, by the way, I have a message for you from your mother. She said you better take responsibility for this. I plan on claiming alimony from you as well as dividing our home. I have enough evidence against you, so there's no way you'll get out of this. Let's sell this house so you can give the money you owe me. I told her everything. Haley was at a loss for words.
Until now, you've just called my dad your maid, huh? You better give him all the compensation he deserves. And once you've done that, disappear from our lives.
My daughter spoke coldly. Haley opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but she couldn't get a single word out. This is what she deserves. Getting rejected by not just me, but also by her daughter and her parents. That's exactly what she deserves.
Enjoy your second life.
Goodbye forever. Later. As planned, we sold our house and divided the money. I also received all the alimony I requested. I began living on my own nearby where my daughter lived with Ken. Nora suggested we live together, but I didn't want to bother them during their newlywed life. I told her I wanted to enjoy life on my own for a while, but I was grateful for their offer. Haley moved and began working for the company of one of her father's friends. I don't know where she is now. Haley didn't show up to Nora's wedding. In her letter Nora wrote to me, she thanked me for raising her as if she was my real daughter. As I read that letter, I couldn't stop crying. Knowing that my daughter had safely begun her adult life, I felt relieved. I can be happy at last. I now enjoy my life every day.